Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7 money making builds. This time we're going to be doing one of the latest cars to the game from update 1.34, the GAC Maverick, an absolutely mental car. And whilst it's not great on its fuel consumption or tyre life, it is however an absolute blast. And I've got it to 700 pp for the Le Mans grind, and I've been using this a bunch as well as in my live streams as well, and it's easy to hit way over 200 miles per hour in this thing. It's an absolutely insane machine. So if you do want to pick this car up for yourself, you're looking at 300,000 credits, rather quite cheap to be quite honest. It's the typical SEMA award winning price. Standard it has 660.37 pp, but obviously those are on road tyres. The maximum output is going to be 1,199 brake horsepower, weighing 1,633 kilograms. Oh, and yeah, it's turbocharged massively. Those turbos absolutely scream at you. So overall, you are getting a lot of power for a fairly cheap price. However, we are going to have to do a bit of tuning later on in the video. Now, I do want to give a big shout out to Madstone 1964 for this Ken Block inspired livery. It certainly feels like a car he would certainly drive. So I do want to kind of give a bit of a heads up and a nod to the late great Ken Block. So let's get into the actual setup for this car. So you do need racing tyres, obviously it is Le Mans, but you also need a set of wets or intermediates, so I've got both of those. We've got the fully customizable suspension on. In terms of body height, at the front it's 85, the rear is 100, so a little bit of rake there. Anti-roll bar at the front is going to be 6, and at the rear it is going to be 8, 38 for both compression, 47 for both expansion. Natural frequency 3.40 and 3.80 at the rear. Negative camber angle is 2 front and 2.5 rear, with the toe angle being 0.05 outwards at the front and 0.20 inwards at the rear. Moving on to the differential, it's fully customizable. I've got the initial torque set quite high at 50. Again, it's going to be personal preference, but again, it kind of spins up and puts a lot of power down very quickly. Acceleration 45 and braking is 20. Fully customizable racing transmission. I've not done individual gears, but I've set it to 380 for a high top end. Ballast is going to be set to 38 with a positioning of -49, 70% on the power restrictor. Now, this might seem a lot, but trust me, it's still putting out almost 1,000 brake horsepower, and actually in terms of looking around, this gave me the most output rather than kind of limiting on the ECU, where we have no limit, no downforce either. We do have the high RPM turbocharger installed, but you cannot put anti-lag or anything like that on. Racing silencer once again is installed. I've got carbon brakes, but you can just put the standard racing slotted and stuff. Racing brake pad, I've got the handbrake on. Again, you don't have to do that. Brake control I would recommend, because then you can kind of fine tune it for yourself. And then as you can see, last off we have the increased body rigidity. So a very straightforward build and not too expensive in terms of parts. So in terms of the event we're going to use, if you've never really been here before, you're going to head into Europe, up here to the left, which is the 24-hour Du Mans, or Le Mans. It's going to be the middle event. It's the World Touring Car 700, so go ahead and enter that one. So before we get into what I did for my strategy and how my run went, or at least one of my runs, we're going to talk about how this car is tuned. So it is a very impressive straight line beast. I think we all know that by now. However, I was assuming or under the impression that nerfing this thing would take away a lot of its top end potential, and well, I was rather quite wrong. It's still a very, very quick car in 700 form. Pleasantly surprising actually. In terms of its fuel consumption, it's absolutely terrible, requiring you to pit every 2 laps, which is the only downside to this car. It's not too kind on its tyres. It does seem to wear them quite quick. Kind of makes sense with the amount of power we are putting down anyway. However, overall, this is a very fun car to drive. I've been absolutely having a blast. I've used it in my live streams. I've used it multiple times every day, really, because it just seems to be one of those go-to cars, just for the pure fun factor of it. Don't let that fuel consumption kind of turn you away from it. Go ahead, you should absolutely win by a mile. I almost ended up doing 8 laps in this thing before I had to basically, you know, kind of hold off at the end, which you'll see in this run. So the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is put it straight at fuel mix 6. This is because it absolutely drinks the fuel in this car. Now, in terms of your overall difficulty, again, this is going to be completely down to you. You can easily do it on hard, you can easily do it on, well, any difficulty. It just does not matter. The main thing you just want to do is just kind of set it to your preference. If you're grinding money, personally, I'd recommend just going with easy, just in case anything happens like you have a big off or anything like that, or you just completely mess up your strategy, at least it gives you a higher chance to actually win at the event. However, you should win by an absolute margin no matter what difficulty you're playing on. Now obviously through the corners this thing isn't going to be all too quick. However, once you do kind of get used to the way it handles, it should absolutely, you know, breeze through the corners. You shouldn't have any issues. Again, just have a light foot on the throttle when you begin to put the power down and ensure the car's aiming in a straight line, because once this thing starts going, it's an absolute missile. As you can see, it absolutely decimates the Group 4 cars in a straight line, which is realistically the way it should be. So even at fuel mix 6, we're going to be hitting over 200 miles per hour. It's just absolutely insane. So by the time we got towards the end of the straight, we were taking the lead away from the Suzuki Swift, and at this point we didn't have to worry about seeing the AI again. Now the only downside is we are running racing hards, which does make you know, grip overall not as good as say running the mediums and such. Once you get onto lap 2, I do recommend just keeping an eye on that weather radar. Every time I've actually ran this car, I've actually had dry runs, so I'm not quite sure if you're going to end up kind of repeating what I've ended up doing or if you'll actually get it in the wet. So we're going to speed it up a little bit here. I just kind of want to touch on the pit stops. So you're going to be doing it every 2 laps. So I'm going to tell you about the first one. First one, don't change your tyres unless it's raining. You just want to fill it to full and just get away and go again. As you can see, we had a bit of rain coming in. However, that rain formation did very much miss us, and we didn't really have to worry about rain at all. So again, after you pit at the end of lap 2, wait until the end of lap 4, and that's when you are going to box once again. Now at this point it's probably going to be raining, or it probably won't be. It just depends on your luck. Now we didn't have rain, so at this point we are going to go for another set of racing hards. So your tyres on average in terms of performance will last about I'd probably say 4 laps maximum before they start getting really sketchy. At that point you want to change, fuel up again, and rinse and repeat. Now as you can see on lap 5 we started seeing a bit more rain coming in, and I thought, okay, this one's definitely going to hit. There's no way we're going to get that lucky to avoid the first bit of rain. This one's definitely going to come in, but however you are going to see, yeah, it was just a little blip. I don't know why, but every time I've gotten in this car, this just seems to be what the weather's like. It almost always misses. I've not had a big downpour once whilst driving the GAC Maverick, so yeah, pretty lucky so far. At the end of lap 6 we're going to have to pit again. Now we were just kind of so quick around, we didn't get caught in the rain or anything like that, so we had around about 4 minutes left. So all we're going to do at this point is just fill the car to full. The tyres should be fine until the end. You only need to change them once if you do get a dry run. Now because we've only got realistically 1 lap we need to do, we're going to turn the engine up to full and hit well over 200 miles an hour at this point. In fact, it was such a smooth run this time around, we actually did start lapping the AI even in a dry race, which was rather quite surprising. You'll be lucky to get a lap of fuel out of this thing if you are driving it at fuel mix 1 anyway, so just ensure this is going to be your last lap. What you're going to see here is we actually did have to back off just to ensure we didn't go on to lap 8, or else it would have forced us to do yet again another lap. So just be aware of where the finish line is here. As you can see, we're going to back off, and then it kind of, you know, the timer goes off, and then we're going to go across. There's no way we wanted to be stranded for, you know, 8 whole laps while we try and finish up. So we did it in 30 minutes 1 second, 0.208. We didn't get fastest lap. That's because obviously we're pitting every other lap, but on average expect to be in the very low to high 3 minutes. So you should be either in the low 4 minutes or very, you know, kind of high 3 minutes, rather quite easily and consistent. That's kind of where the pace of this car is kind of at. It's just absolutely bizarre. So let's quickly just move on to the payment for this race. I'm assuming most of you guys will know it. Some of you may not if you are a newer player and you've come along with the current sale of the game. So it's 825,000 credits for this one in pretty much dot on 30 minutes. You should be able to kind of time it perfectly to get it as low as possible. So it's 1.65 million per hour. No problem at all, and it is an absolute blast as well. So the GAC Mono has come into the game. It's a car that at first, you know, I knew it was quick, I knew it was quite unique, but I never expected it to be a decent grinding car. However, it's very much instantly become a go-to for me. I'm finding myself just having too much fun in this thing. I don't know what it is about this car. I know it's terrible on fuel. It's not really that good on tyre life, but it's insanely quick and it absolutely just decimates the AI. It really is a hoot. So let me know what you think of this build. I feel like I've got a nice mix between, you know, getting the handling as good as it could be and also retaining that high top speed with this car. Thank you so much for watching. That is going to be it from me today. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a comment, leave a like, and obviously subscribe to the channel. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss an upload from me. Upload GT7 and motorsport related content each and every day for your viewing pleasure. Massive thank you to my sponsors, Poggers and the Controller People, for their continued support and helping with the growth of this channel, as well as my channel members. You guys are absolutely awesome. Like I keep saying, I'm going to try and get some more perks going for you guys over the coming months, so feel free to join that. My Twitter, my Discord, and my donation link will be in the description down below. Have a fantastic day, guys. Peace.